part of Veritas's community for a long time.
Yeah.
Been watching him for a long time, and he had a command that was exclamation point JK
Yeah.
for Jesse, because Jesse did. I don't know if you've ever seen this video. Jesse did a video called "Becoming a Legend." If you've never seen it, I recommend you go watch it.
Okay.
It's still on his YouTube before he takes it down, because every day that video stays up there and he watches it, he cringes and wants to delete it. So
Okay.
you gotta watch it.
Hey, she's a beauty.
Welcome to Tarducks, a podcast for content creators to come on, share their stories, experiences, and advice. And today I have SealableBag. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for coming on. So the way we start things off is 3 random questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hardest skate trick that you landed?
The one I'm most proud of. How about that?
All right.
Half cab crook. I don't know how to describe it to people who don't skate, but half cab crook is probably the trick that like people are surprised about the most. It's the coolest that I can do.
Last movie you saw?
Last movie I saw, the Mario movie.
How was that?
It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my fiance and I went to the movie theater for the first time in months, and we walked in and all it was just kids just screaming, and we're like, wait, did we just pick a really childish movie? And yeah, it was okay. That was all right.
All right. Okay. And final one, best thing about where you live?
I like the weather, which might be a weird thing to say, but I like that we kind of have it all. We get the super hot summers and the cold winters, so it's like no matter where we are when we're outside of where we live, like we're always like kind of comfortable in that weather. Whereas like, you know, if you grow up living in the desert and you go somewhere like that's as cold as like 0 degrees Celsius and you're like dying, like we don't have to deal with that.
No, nothing wrong with enjoying all 4 seasons. The same here out in New England. Welcome to the podcast. First thing I got to ask you about is your retired Echo Arena world champ. So we're talking a few years ago, right? When this, playing VR.
Yeah, would have been like three years ago. Yeah, that was crazy.
Now, how did you get involved in that?
So I always wanted to play VR stuff. So and watching like Onward and stuff, like the Mill Sims and everything like that. Like that's kind of what drove me to want to buy VR headset. So I ordered my headset, and then the way I am is I research everything. Like if I'm gonna buy something, I research the hell out of it. So while I was waiting for it to come, I was just researching games and stuff. And there was this space game called Lone Echo, and it's you're a robot that's like supporting this woman who's in a like single man spaceship, and like you're pushing yourself around in 0G to like help her out and stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then I found out that there was like a multiplayer spin-off called Echo Arena. So it's like the same mechanics with like the 0G, but it's like a sport game, like kind of like Rocket League, where it's 2 teams that and you have to score, put the disc in the goal. And then so I started playing that right when it launched, and it was like a day after I got my headset. And we found out that ESL, who runs like a bunch of like tournaments like for Counter-Strike and all this stuff, like it's a pretty big company, they were partnered up with Oculus to throw out like a LAN tournament. So like the top 4 teams in North America and the top 4 teams in Europe both qualify for a tournament, and they like fly you out, they put you in a hotel, all that. And then so I was like, I'll try and make a team, see how we do. And we qualified for that first LAN, and then just kind of kept riding that wave of Facebook throwing money at
Oh, wow.
VR esports, and then eventually, yeah, we went to the UK for season 3, and yeah, we won.
Holy cow. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And now, do you still play much of VR, these days?
Not so much anymore. I was still playing, so or Facebook stopped throwing money at it, so then it became more community driven.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept playing for a few seasons, but then when I bought a house and like started getting into my career, I started getting too busy. So, and I wanted to focus on streaming, so I said I wanted to step back. And also, more and more younger kids were getting in and getting good, so it was harder to keep up. So I got out while we were still on top. So
Nice. That's a good time to get out. Now, have you looked at any of the current like sort of milsim games that they're doing in VR, like Ghost of Tabor or anything like that?
Yeah, I've been interested in trying it, but it's just hard when not as many people play.
Yeah.
So I haven't like dove in yet. And then obviously I hurt my arm, so I haven't been able to play VR for the last 2 months.
All right, I gotta ask, where does the name come from? SealableBag. How did you come up with that?
I hate to disappoint you, but I have no story. It's just okay. I will kind of tell a story.
Okay.
I'll tell you why I needed a different name. When I was in grade 9, so I was like 13, 14. I was playing League of Legends and stuff, and my name was Poon Slayer. So a few years after that, I was embarrassed about having that name all the time, so I had to change it. And I was like, what do I change it to? And I was just like, I don't know. I got nothing, so I just made I literally just randomness, just
oh shoot.
Like, yeah.
Well, it is much better, I have to agree.
It is. It is a lot better.
Far more marketable, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
When did video games start for you? Early age or sort of later on?
Early age. I mean, I always played games. I used to play like couch co-op games with my brother all the time.
Yeah.
And like, played Super Nintendo and N64 and stuff. But I didn't like really get into it like I am now until I was in my first year of university, where a bunch of people were getting into it. I played like League of Legends with friends and stuff, but it was kind of just like once in a while, not as much as I do now.
Okay. But, and now, out of the brothers, who's the best? Who was the best couch co-op person to when you were dueling games on the couch?
I mean, he was the older brother, so he was better. But if were to play now, I'd be better.
Nice. So now, before you hit that go live button, what is your background?
Out of high school, I did a 2-year program for mechanical engineering tech. And then after I did my first year of that, I realized I didn't want to do it as a career, but it was a diploma, so 2 years and you get the certificate.
Yeah.
So I decided to just do it. And I really got into, we did a PLC programming course, which is like controlling like pneumatic pistons and stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really programming at all, but it was like logic based. So like, if I hit this button, then if I hit this button and turn this dial, I want the light to flash 3 times. Like, it was very logic based, and I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
So after that class, I was like, oh, I kind of want to learn programming. So I started doing some like Java, just like simple programs. And I thought it was super fun. So I thought about pursuing that as a career. So then I did my undergrad in computer science.
Oh, cool.
And then, I've been a software developer since then.
Nice. And then, so often you don't find, software developers that, do coding and programming also have that skill of, the creative side from a graphics standpoint. So, you do both. You do the thumbnails, you do editing and everything like that. When did you start your editing? From early days or just picked up because of streaming?
I mean, I did a little bit of editing when I was younger. I remember I was in this one computer class in junior high where we had to make edits. And I made some like skateboard edit, which was just ripping other YouTube videos and pulling clips from it. Like, it was really jank. And then I made some snowboard videos when I was in high school, but I didn't really dive into it too much.
Yeah.
But I've always been obsessed with VFX and stuff. I watched videos on VFX and like 3D stuff for years before I touched anything. I was just like, I would watch tutorials and everything because I thought it was so cool, like on game engines. And but yeah, it wasn't until like last year where I saw more Tarkov thumbnails, like more custom like 3D stuff coming through, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I started looking into it, and then just like a few months later, I mean, started working with Jesse and started doing some thumbnails for him, and then just dove into it. But and then editing, I mean, that's kind of come with the streaming stuff. Yeah, it's just like wanting to get better at that. So, and just like focusing on getting those skills over the last like year or two.
Yeah, the whole 3D rendering, it's painstaking. It is, you're doing, frame by frame and manipulating camera and everything along with the skeletons and things like that. That is, just it's painful, it sounds like it sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. Like it won't look like anything for like the first like 3 hours. Yeah. And then just like I don't know, you like blink and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, like this composition actually looks really cool. Yeah. And it's cool. And I think part of the joy of it is like it's something you're so familiar with because like playing Tarkov and everything, obviously you're very familiar with all the characters, but they're in such a unfamiliar way. Like even if it's just ADSing, like just the way the camera's on it, you're like, wait, that's different. That's not how I know it, Yeah. But it's kind of cool to like do stuff that people have never seen with those characters. Is cool.
Right. Yeah. Just the different perspectives, camera angles, or it's really cool to see. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now over time, what's if you had to rank 3 of your favorite video games, what would the 3 video games be?
I am so bad at picking favorites of anything in the world. I am awful at saying what my favorites are because I always change, like music, movies, games. But I mean, I still love Rocket League. Yeah. Rocket League used to be one of my main games before Tarkov. I still love it. I mean, it's not a story game, but it is a game that I've always loved. And I'll kind of just all-encompassing skateboard sims, like Skater XL and like all the skate games. Like, I've absolutely loved those. Like, so that's definitely a big one. And then, I want to pick like my favorite like story game. Man, the God of War games, the new ones, are like they're up there. Both, the last 2 ones, Ragnarok and one before that.
All right. Are you looking forward to the new skate game that's coming out?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always interested. Yeah. But I'm not as in a dire need for it as I used to be. Yeah. Like I just remember like watching E3 and stuff in like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. You would just see people like chanting Skate 4, which I didn't even know there was that many people who cared. I know. But like chanting for Skate 4. But then when like Session came out and Skater XL came out, like there's these other sims, that like desire for another one has like really dropped for me because I mean the other one, they're really good. They are good. Honestly, once you get used to having control of both feet, like I don't know if you've played them, but one stick controls one foot. Yeah. Going back to the old flick it with Skate, I don't know. I just don't think it'll be.
It's not natural when you think about like how you're moving your feet, your front foot and left foot, and yeah,
and like the control that you have. Like if I want it to flick a certain way, you have control of that. But like with the Skate system, you can. Yeah. But yeah. There has been playtests for Skate, but there may or may not be NDAs about it. But it has promise. That's what I'll say.
They're adding parkour into it, and it's just like it's a skate game. Just leave it as a skate game. In my opinion, it's just like, I don't know. Just don't put too much
Yeah.
into it. And
Yeah, like Riders Republic
yes,
is adding skateboarding too, but they're a game that's like trying to add all these different action sports, where it's just like,
yep,
it's just not gonna be as in depth as a game that's dedicated for it.
no. What was it about skateboarding that hooked? Was it the music, just the sort of creative aspect of it you could do with skateboarding?
I mean, I grew up. My older brother skated a little bit, and his friend was super into skateboarding. So at that time, it was just like little brother just trying to do what his old brother's doing.
Okay.
And I just fell in love with it, and I've pretty much have just done it ever since I was like 5 years old. It's just been something that's been always part of my life.
Excellent. All right. So let's go back to video games and streaming. So what made you hit that go live button to begin with?
I started watching streams my first 2 years of university. I had some friends who were into Counter-Strike, and that's like when I started like playing more PC games, was when I started playing with them.
Yeah.
And they were watching streams all the time. And the first game I ever streamed was it was a snowboarding and ski sim game called Snow. And why I streamed was because we were working with some of the developers on some stuff, like some feedback, and I just like started streaming to show them something, and then I just occasionally streamed that game for a little while, and then I just enjoyed it, so I kept doing it.
Yeah. And now, when did you first go live? How many years ago?
I mean, that time would have been 2015.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
2016. But I really just streamed every once in a while. Just I wasn't really taking it seriously. I didn't really start taking it seriously until right before COVID started.
Yeah.
And then that's right when I graduated my computer science degree. So like, and it was really hard to find a job at that time. So I really just pushed for that like year just because I didn't have anything else. So
right.
So that's when I really started like taking it more seriously and stuff.
Oh, okay. And now, over the years, what's sort of been, hardest thing about, hitting that go live button, because you're doing your full-time job, and now also sort of, putting a lot of hours into streaming at the same time.
Just like the obligation for consistency.
Yeah.
Has probably been the hardest thing, because like, you'd love to take a day off here, because your friends want to go do something, or the fiance wants to do something, and like you just can't really afford to do that if you want to maintain growth, or it's just way harder to grow, I should say. It's not that it's not possible, it's just like for your best chances you should be consistent, so it's probably the hardest part.
All right. And now, since you've, sort of started doing a regular scheduled stream, have you just seen just sort of a general upward growth, or was there a couple of moments where all of a sudden, you started seeing, I picked up, 15 or 20 viewers over the span of a couple of weeks? Are certain key moments that happened, or was it just a gradual consistency?
I think that I've been steadily growing for a while, but I think the hard part about growing a stream for like Tarkov is that you have people who are getting interested and joining your stream, and then you also have people who are losing interest and moving on to other things, which is just like the natural flow of things. So if you don't have a bigger funnel to bring people in, you're gonna feel like you're not growing. You're just going to maintain, but that's because new people are coming in at the same rate that they're leaving. But I mean, most of my like big moments have come from like Jesse, obviously. Like Jesse's a good friend, and he's successful, so when he raids me and stuff, like the turnover from him raiding me over if some other big streamer raids me, is that like I'm always with Jesse, so it's just like a lot of people
Oh,
are
okay,
like,
yeah.
oh, like I hear you all the time, like, oh, here you are, I'll follow you.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like those are big bursts of follows and stuff.
Yeah.
And the beginning of Wipe, when those things happen, are probably like the biggest moments of growth because that's when people are the most interested, so they're more likely to come back and watch.
Okay.
But yeah.
And how about that? You know, do you remember your big first raid? Somebody raided you and dropped. You went from like X to triple X in viewers, and
There's been a couple of times where like Jesse got rated by like Landmark,
yeah,
and then Jesse rated me afterwards, and then it was just like boom. So like the next few weeks were like,
holy crap,
you know, like 20 to 30 more viewers. But
yeah.
yeah,
Now
not any that like long term just like completely changed everything.
Yeah.
Right?
But what's it like though when all of a sudden, you're maybe getting a couple of, 100 viewers average, and now all of a sudden, Jesse comes in with a, 15,000, because he, carried over from Landmark, how do you deal with like that many people just all of a sudden that burst? Do you just sort of, keep rolling with it? Because chat must supposed to be flying by at that point.
Yeah, you kind of just got to keep doing your thing. But I mean, obviously you get a bit more nervous, and you're like, honestly, it's not, I wouldn't even say nervous. You get excited, like, because you just like, you want to bring people in.
Right.
You want people to come back. So you just naturally kind of pep up a bit. But yeah, I think the worst thing to do is just like, or I shouldn't say the worst thing to do, but the thing I try not to do is just dwell on the raid and be like, yo, like, thank you so much. Like, thank you so like obviously I am thankful, but my goal is to not be overwhelmed, or not like have this like need to say like thank you. My goal is to just be like, okay, it's like go time. Let's do our thing. Let's try. Get some people to or show people a good time. So
Okay.
So I don't read all the follows out. Like normally I would because I'm a smaller streamer, so every follow I read them out, but if I get rated, I do not read them out. I just say thank you like overall, so that like again you're not bogging down things and just like trying to keep going doing your thing.
Yeah. And now, since you hit that go live button, what's, has there been a couple of moments that stick out as like, wow, that was a really, that was pretty cool, or, something happened in the community that really was like, wow, that was awesome.
I mean, I'm sure that I have many examples, but the one that like instantly stands out is just the drop streams that I did this year. So I got a drop slot, and I got the hookup from the homies. So Arrowwing rated me my first slot, and then Veritas rated me the second slot.
Nice.
So having a stream with like 2,000 to 6,000 viewers, and just like just honestly it's just such a good vibe, just having all these new people talking and you're just enjoying yourself. And honestly the best thing of that day was like I did set sub goals to do giveaways for merch, and I gave away like 6 things of merch or something, and like just being able to do that was awesome. Like it was so fun, and like doing like the marble races and just having like hundreds of marbles. I don't know, it's just like from someone who averages like 40 viewers to have that opportunity was just awesome.
Oh, that's so cool. And now, when did you start adding, you were streaming, had the regular schedule stream. Did you start adding sort of, your sort of YouTube content on the tail end of that, or when you started doing that, or was that later on?
That was later on. Yeah, definitely. Like within the last year and a half, I started to pump out more videos. But honestly, I was pumping out like highlights and stuff because I didn't know what kind of videos I wanted to make. And honestly, I still don't know, but we're figuring it out.
And now, so when you do come, when you're starting out, creating a video, what is sort of your workflow? Do you sort of, plan it out, storyboard it, or sort of like take some clips and piece it together from there?
It depends. I mean, if I think that there's a video behind like an evening that we played, then I'll take the clips that I had and then maybe record some B-roll and some other stuff to kind of put them together in a good way.
Yeah.
But there's like the one video that I did for doing the light keeper. I saw a video on how to kill Zeriachi and the guards and stuff.
Yeah.
And how to cross. And I was just like, I mean, honestly, the idea was I want to learn how to do that. And then I want to kill someone who's unlocked the ability to go to Lightkeeper, because you're not allowed to kill people on the island when you have the like beeping thing.
Yeah.
So, and I was going to call it the Light Taker. But honestly, we ended up not like, I didn't see any PMCs the whole time. So I ended up working with Tower. I don't know if you know who Tower is, but he like hangs out with Airwing a lot, and he's like really knowledgeable about like Tarkov ballistics and stuff, and he helped me figure out like the best shotgun build. So then we ended up trying it again and just trying to kill Zeriachi and all the boys with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was cool, and that ended up being like what the video was. So it was like kind of we took a 90, but like that was more like a planned video.
Yeah.
Like I knew what I was going to do beforehand.
And about how long did that take to sort of, once you got all the content together, to sort of, edit it and, piece it all together?
Like 2-3 weeks, but
Yeah.
that's not me working every day.
Right.
That's like me editing in an evening that I find time. It
Now,
probably took me like 15 hours of like editing, because I also did like the free cam shots, and I did the 3D stuff that I do. So like doing renders and stuff takes a while too.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Now, is that the one where you basically figured out how to walk backwards across over to to trigger the mines and everything like that?
Yeah, like a certain path to like trigger all the mines so that you can get across without dying.
That must have taken forever to friggin' figure that path out.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't figure out how to do it. I watched a video where they did it, and then I just memorized what they already figured out. So I'm not taking credit for learning how to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll take credit for memorizing and being able to do it. But
now you also, like you mentioned earlier, you do thumbnails as well. So have you figured out the secrets? What's your sort of do you have like 3 things you always throw in your thumbnails?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think I have the best thumbnails in the world either. But I just try to focus on making sure things don't get drowned out. So, if I really want something to pop, if I really want it to be obvious, then contrast it. Like make sure, like if I really want the gun to pop and say the gun is black, I'm not going to put it on a black t-shirt or black armor rig, because it's going to be harder for it to pop, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, just trying to make sure that it's clear, not necessarily what the video is about, because it's not always going to be that way, but making sure that it's clear that it's Tarkov is also a goal when I'm working with people. Because like people will just like fly by it without knowing that it's Tarkov. So we try to use like shattered masks, because shattered masks is just like you instantly know it's Tarkov. Yeah. And stuff like that. And I try to the other thing that I focus is like trying to make room for text if we're gonna be doing text on the thumbnail. It's just like what's the best way to frame something so that I can leave space. But,
yeah. And any red arrows, is that the key? That's not the secret to every thumbnail?
I mean, it depends, I guess. I don't know. I mean, your goal is to get, if you want them to look at something, there's a couple ways to do it. Yeah. And a red arrow is one way. Nice. But like sometimes you want to like have it so, like say you want the character to be the focus. You kind of have like the lines of the background going towards them.
Okay. Yeah.
And like, if they're ADSing, like your eyes naturally will like follow the line of the gun. So if you want to focus on that, on the face, have everything like centered to the face.
All right, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Some secrets from Sealable.
Yeah.
There you go. And now, if somebody's thinking about hitting the go live button, what kind of advice would you have for them?
Don't have expectations. I think one thing that's helped me is like I wanted to have a put together stream, I wanted to have good production quality, but for me, not for not because I necessarily thought I would grow or anything, but just like I don't know, I set myself up for success. So, if I treat my stream like I have a ton of viewers and I only have a few, like that practice is really helpful for if you ever do get the opportunity to be in that situation. Like say you have 2 viewers normally, and you're not really treating it, or you're not really used to treating it like it's like a full professional stream, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you ever get a big raid, like you're not like ready for it, so then when you're scrambling and maybe your alerts are freaking out, not working, and you're just trying to figure out how to fix it, and that kind of thing is just like you're that much less likely to keep people around.
True.
So
all right,
that's something that I've focused on for a while.
Yeah, cool.
Hope that made sense.
Absolutely.
Not rambling.
So, Tarkov, what was your path to this game that has ruined, this game's ruined so many games for me because it's so damn addicting and good?
I used to watch Frankie on PC in 1080p.
Yeah.
He made like a lot of DayZ content, and he made a video on Tarkov where I can't remember where he was. I think he was on customs, and he walked up to the bridge, and he had a pistol, and he pulled back the slide to check the chamber, and I looked it up and I bought it. It's like the attention to detail. I was like, I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah. And what is the hook that it has on you, still today?
Sub count. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's just like, although we all have frustrations with the game. There's just no game that feels the same. Yeah. Like, I love the feeling of like early wipe, like the desire to keep your stuff and not die. Like,
yes.
The gear fear. There's just no game that like gets you feeling that way. Like the super high highs and the low lows. Mm-hmm. Like. Yeah.
For me, I call it's the pucker factor. Those moments that like you just your heart's racing. It's like there's a 3-man walking by you in interchange or something like that. It's like, okay, do I go for it? Do I hold back? And it's something special.
It's like it's similar to competitive games where like if you're in a clutch situation, like you're in a 1v3, like your heart pumps and you're like. You're just trying to make like the right decisions. Like it's, even though it's not a competitive game in that aspect, like it gives you that same like feeling. So
yeah, and it will punish you for the smallest mistakes.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And now for you, what was the hardest thing to learn to play the game?
I do not know.
With map
learning
knowledge?
The maps. Yeah. I think like getting used to like the flow of maps takes a while. I mean, like streets, I still don't know the flow of streets. But yeah, that's probably the hardest part.
And now, do you still get a pucker factor, or the sort of racing heartbeat moments after thousands of hours into this game at this point?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's definitely less.
Yeah.
It definitely happens less, but yeah, sometimes.
And sometimes. What is your post-wipe strategy? Do you try to just level up as fast as you can? Are you chasing quests, or do you sort of just just roll with it?
I don't like go as far as like I'm only gonna run PMC because I want to level up and get quests done. Like I still want to find loot, especially for quests as well.
Yeah.
So like we definitely run scavs and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean it's mostly like the quests are what drive me in Tarkov a lot of the time, right? They give me purpose. So I mean we definitely push the quest at the beginning of a wipe.
Now, do you prefer to play solo or duos or trios?
Duo is probably my preferred. Yeah, we ran a lot more trios this year or this wipe.
Yeah.
But yeah, duo I feel is the best.
I agree. Once you get 3 or 4, and then bringing somebody who's not used to the call outs, that adds a whole level of more complexity to any raid.
Yeah, it's just like it's not even the comms and stuff. It's not the difficulty of threes, which definitely there is some that's introduced there. But for me, when there's 3 people, just like the pace changes.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to find that many more Saluas in raid.
Yeah.
You have to, if one person dies, or if I die early, I'm now not waiting for one person to rush. I'm like, now as soon as there's 2 more people, they tend to do more stuff in that raid because they're still working together.
Right.
So like I end up sitting there waiting longer, even though run a scav, but
yeah.
Yeah, just the whole pace changes when you do trios at the beginning of a wipe.
Yeah. And now, if somebody's starting the game, somebody finding Tarkov for the first time, what kind of advice would you give to them?
I'd
Yes.
play something else. No, I normally recommend for people to do offline raids.
Yeah.
At first, and not to get map knowledge, even though like you can do that. I feel like a lot of people give that advice, but just go factory. As many scavs as possible. Load up meds. I don't know. Watch videos on like what meds do what if you need to. But just like run factory with as many scavs as possible and like just get used to the systems. So like you can learn how meds work when the scavs inevitably pop you up a bit.
Yeah.
And get used to the gunplay without like doing any online raids.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be super beneficial. And honestly, is beneficial for like people who play a lot, just to like go in a factory raid and warm up.
Yeah.
Even, which I don't do, but I should do. But yeah.
And now, what would you say has been sort of the, I guess what is your take on the state of the game today?
See, I just ride the wave, man.
Yeah.
I try not to get as invested, because then I don't know, people just get so mad.
Yes.
And I'm not saying I don't have frustrations, but I kind of just ride the wave.
Yeah.
Whatever they're introducing, I may complain about it a little bit, but just gonna keep playing. Inevitably, I'm just gonna keep playing. So I'm not gonna let it ruin my day.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also before I played Tarkov, I haven't really talked about this too much, but like before I played Tarkov, this is how things worked. You got into a game, you played it a ton with your friends, right? And then something else comes along, or not even something else. Like it doesn't have to be new, but it just another interest comes up. Like let's say we were super into, I don't know, like Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Right? We play Monster Hunter for a few hundred hours, and then someone starts playing Ark, and we're like, oh, that sounds like fun. You do it for an evening, and then you play Ark for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Like that's how I personally consumed games before I played Tarkov.
Yeah.
I mean, I did play like competitive games like Counter-Strike and Rocket League, which were a bit different.
Yeah.
But, like it would just be, this game is the game of the month. So I think that the expectation to play a game just like indefinitely is a ridiculous expectation. Like it's not ridiculous, but for me, I feel like that's an impossible feat to reach, right? Because you no matter how good something is, you're going to get bored of it.
Yeah.
And I think that wipe to wipe, that's what people do. They hit that point of like where I would have previously switched games with my friends, but they push through it, and that's when they get really frustrated.
Yeah.
They get really frustrated at all the stuff in the game. They could not change anything, and then people would complain about the stuff that they've been complaining about before.
Yeah.
Like that's my opinion, anyways.
Well, the way I look at it, you know, I've probably got a few thousand hours in this game. This game at this point doesn't owe me anything. You know, the way I look for value out of a game is sort of like how you go to a movie. You pay $20, you see a 2 or 3 hour movie. All right, I'm looking for $10 to $15 per hour, and then that's sort of a break even point. You know, at this point, Tarkov doesn't owe me anything. If they go away, I'll be sad. I love playing that game, but you know, I've got my money's worth out of that game.
Big time. I always use the movie thing.
Yeah. It's easy.
As a comparison. You know, like if I buy a story game that gives me like, you know, whatever, it's $70 or $60.
Yeah.
If it gives me like over 30 hours, like that's pretty good value proposition, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
100% agree. Yeah. It's interesting to see, you know, like last summer's wipe, you know, we hit that, you know, from June onwards, it hit quick. It seemed like sort of like the patience people, you know, were having with the game. Now this wipe from Christmas on, it seems like it went quicker this way. And the good thing I think that we see from that is it forces the content creators who are focused on, you know, they've been just maining Tarkov, they sort of try other games, and you see like Geeks and Ash, they've branched out, and I think that's healthier for some of them too.
Yeah, I think I mean, I think it's healthy for everyone
to
be able to do that, but it's not always so easy.
Right.
You know, there's also a lot of creators who switched those games, like they stopped playing Tarkov, and you know, their view count plummeted.
Yeah.
And like it's just the reality of it, and it sucks like big time.
Yeah.
Especially if like you're full time and you know that's what's putting food on the table, and you have kids and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like for someone like Jesse, you know, he has a wife and 2 kids. Like it's gonna be way harder for him to just on a dime switch like that,
right?
Because he has to make sure he can still provide. So
yeah,
you know, it's great for people who can do it, and like Deadly did an awesome job at switching, right?
Yeah.
Like he can play like whatever he wants and still maintains like 2,000 viewers or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not. It's not like it's not a simple.
It's not like a light switch. All of a sudden you switch over and no.
Yeah, like I think the best way to transition is to like slowly introduce the variety over time, and then eventually you're happy with the view count that you get with variety, and you can you know, you're like, oh, I can live with that, and then you make the switch, right?
And also at the same time, you've built up your community, and your community is there. You know, you'd like to think the community is there for you more than the game itself, too.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element of that, but I still think that if you are primarily, I mean, this is not Tarkov. This is just like content creation in general, right?
Yep.
Like
Fortnite or whatever.
If you're a Stardew Valley streamer and you've never played anything else, like no matter how diehard your fans are, there's going to be a lot of people who just like don't click on your link because you're playing something else, right? And that's just like a reality of it. That's just human nature, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely always going to be like that core community that sticks around no matter what you're playing.
Yeah.
But
now, speaking of community, how would you describe, you know, the Sealable community? What, you know, when somebody's coming into your stream for the first time, what are they in for?
Just some goofy boys. I don't know.
And now,
it's just about having a good time. I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
We try not to take ourselves too seriously. Yeah. Just try to have a good time. You're
not raging and throwing the keyboard across the room or anything like that?
Not always. No. No, I'm just kidding. No. We try to keep it happy. Keep good vibes, but
nice.
But yeah.
And now recently, you know, with your broken arm, I saw you playing Tarkov with a controller. How painful was that?
Not as painful as breaking your arm.
I bet.
It was okay. It honestly wasn't that bad. It was way better than I thought it would
Oh, really?
be. Yeah. I mean, I did it so that my stream didn't die.
Yeah.
You know, taking 2 months off. Yeah, playing with the controller was okay. My favorite part about it, I was actually just telling Jesse about this, is like when you're playing on controller, all of the highs are that much higher because you're using a controller. You're
Right,
like,
yeah.
I can't believe I actually killed somebody. And yeah, now I'm back on mouse and keyboard, and it's like the lows are still low, and now the highs aren't as high.
Right, yeah.
You're just like, okay, whatever. I killed someone, I guess. But like, you know, with a controller, like every kill you got, you felt like so much better.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, no, I felt like we got pretty good at it. I mean, without aim assist or anything. I used to play controller games like when I was in high school. I was pretty good at COD, but
yeah,
as soon as I switched to mouse and keyboard, like every time I've gone back to controller, I've been awful. I think if I went back to COD now after 2 months on Tarkov with a controller, I'd be so good.
you could be hanging with the teenagers again, kicking some butt.
Yeah, I can hang with the teenagers. Yep.
Nice. Now, speaking of Jesse, how did you end up meeting Jesse? How did your paths cross?
So I've been part of Veritas's community for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been watching him for a long time, and he had a command that was !JK
Yeah.
for Jesse, because Jesse did, I don't know if you've ever seen this video. Jesse did a video called Becoming a Legend. If you've never seen it, I recommend you go watch it.
Okay.
It's still on his YouTube before he takes it down, because every day that video stays up there and he watches it, he cringes and wants to delete it. So
Okay.
you gotta watch it. But yeah, so it was just a goofy video of him trying to become a legend, and eventually he becomes a legend. I won't go too far into detail. I was like, oh, that was a pretty funny video. So I like followed his stream, and then the next time he went live, he was playing Star Citizen, which I've already said I really like Star Citizen.
Yeah.
So I watched him play that for a bit, and I gave him and Gandashima, who is one of Veritas's mods, I gave him and Gandashima some money in Star Citizen so they could go rent a ship or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I just always hung out in their stream, or in his stream. He had like 10 average viewers at that point. Like he was still like a smaller streamer, and then
Yeah.
you know, things skyrocketed. I was just part of the community. He raided me a few times, and then he had channel point redemptions for like doing a duo raid at the time.
Yeah.
And this is when he was starting to grow a bit more. And I kept teasing him. I was like, because he hates shotguns. I was like, we're going to do duos, and we're going to do shotguns only, okay?
Oh.
The shotgun duos are coming. And I was like, every week, you know, my points got closer and closer. I was like, we're going to do those duos. And then, yeah, so we eventually did those duos. And I died within the first 10 seconds of the raid. And then he was like, okay, let's run it back. That doesn't count. We did another one, and we died right away. And he's like, okay, that doesn't count. One more time. And then we did another raid, and we had a great raid. So yeah, so after that, I reached out to him. I was like, hey man, like I understand if, you know, this is weird. I was like, if you ever want to play, like for a whole evening, you know, do us sometime, like hit me up. And he was like, yeah, dude, let's do it.
Excellent.
And then yeah, it's like ever since then we started playing together more and more and more. And then yeah, now we like play every week, and he's like a good friend.
Excellent.
Good homie.
He's such a bright spot for the, you know, for content creators. You know, I have had, he's been on the pod, and you can blame him for you getting on this pod because he called you out as to come on. But what a super nice guy.
Yeah, he can be a nice guy. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Yeah, no, I've been very fortunate of, you know, getting to build a relationship with him, and like, dude, he's been, I mean, obviously he's been a very crucial part of me even growing at all on stream. I probably would still have like 3 viewers and probably wouldn't be here, or wouldn't have half the friends I have in the community and everything like that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that leads me into the next question was, you made it down to TwitchCon last fall, and how was that experience?
That was cool. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of me that was worried that like, a lot of the partners would do their thing and,
right,
other people wouldn't, but it was very community focused and like we were just hanging out with the homies. So, yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, and doing the podcast, that was sick.
Yeah.
V invited me to be on with them, with all these like people that I've been watching for years or like, never talked to.
Yeah.
And it was cool to get to meet them. And, it's not like, I don't want to say it's not like fanboys. It's just like, it's just people.
People who love a game.
Yeah. It was cool to not feel like there were these people that are way above you in some way. They're just like people that like a video game. So that was really cool to see.
Excellent. I think that's one of the really cool things I like about the Tarkov community. Whether you're a larger streamer or streamers, just starting out, egos are left at the door for the most part. It seems, you see an event like that where you at TwitchCon where, in the suite where you guys did the live stream, all different levels, and everybody had, nobody got, it wasn't just the top streamers only had the input. Everybody threw an input, and it was really cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I tried to minimize how much I talked, but yeah.
And now coming away from TwitchCon, what was some of the moments? Was that sort of one of the moments that really was a highlight for you? Was that sort of stream from Veritas's place?
That was cool, but I don't think that was like necessarily one of the high points.
Yeah.
I mean, just getting to hang with Jesse and Valiant and stuff like these people that I've hung out with lots online, and it's just like when you're in person, it's just the same thing, you know. So that's always a highlight. And also Subtlety, his name's so much for Subtlety. I met him doing the VR stuff, all the Echo Arena stuff. We played on a team for one of the seasons. So I've met him in person. He lives in California, but like I've met him in person at all these like lands for the VR stuff, and he got to come out, and so it was like really cool to see him again. Yeah, it was all about seeing the friends.
Yeah.
Honestly,
that's excellent. And now, are you going to be making your trip down to Vegas for the next TwitchCon?
No, I will not be going this year. With breaking my arm and stuff, and also just like how expensive Vegas will be. It's just like extra money that I don't want to spend this year. So unfortunately, I will not. I might be going to CitizenCon though.
Cool.
Just because it'll be a little bit cheaper. And a lot of my community, for some reason, I play Tarkov only, and a lot of my community, like if you've ever seen in my Discord, like everyone in my Discord's playing Star Citizen. I don't know why, but so a lot of my community is going to be at CitizenCon, so I might go and meet
Where
up
is
with
that
them
and
stuff.
when?
That's in LA. It's the same weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Jesse wanted to come as well.
Yeah.
To CitizenCon, but they're on the same weekend, so.
You got to get Jesse up north. You got to get him up to Canada, I think.
Yeah, I'd like that. I think that'd be sick.
Show him what winter's like.
I don't think I'd take him in the winter. Take him in the summer.
Yeah.
When everything's on fire.
Nice. So now, at the end of the day, when you're signing off, when you're not streaming, what are some of the things you enjoy doing? Skateboarding obviously is one of those.
Yeah, I skateboard. I have a motorcycle.
Yes.
Like we've talked about before. Yeah, I ride a motorcycle sometimes, and one thing that I don't think many people know is I play piano.
Oh, no
I
way.
played classical piano like my whole life. I sometimes play piano downstairs. Yeah.
Well, there we go. We need to get you, Veritas on guitar, and Jesse on guitar, and Get some tunes jamming.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
And now you said you ride a motorcycle, so you just picked it up, right? You just got it recently?
Yeah, I just got a new one. I've ridden bikes for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
This will be the third summer. First summer I bought a 125 for like $800.
Yeah.
And learned on that because I just wanted to buy something that was fuel injected and not like a rust bucket. So that's why I bought such a small one. And then we were planning on buying a bike the year after. But we ended up buying a house 5 or 6 months earlier than we planned.
Yeah.
So we ended up kind of throwing that plan out the door. Yeah, so I sold my 125 and I drove my mother-in-law's Honda Rebel 500, a little cruiser. I drove that all summer last year, but this year was the year we buy our own. So.
And
yeah,
what'd you get?
I got a Husqvarna Svartpillen 401.
And how do you like it?
It's great. Yeah, especially with the arm, I didn't know how it was going to be, but
yeah.
I drove it a lot this weekend, and yeah, it was a blast. It's
nice.
it's like not too much bike. It's still like a smaller engine, but this one can like go on the highway and stuff, and yeah, it's pretty fun.
Any cross Canada treks planned? Maybe.
No. Oh god, no. Oh god, no. I drove on the highway today, and the wind just like pushes me around.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I could do a long trek like that.
Looking forward to any games coming out or anything like that? Arena, maybe?
I mean, if Arena comes out, that'd be interesting. I think Arena will be perfect for when you die early in a raid or something, or if you want to warm up. I think that's when Arena will be like king. Like, I don't think I'm gonna play Arena for 5 hours, but if it's like seamless to go into an Arena match or something while you're waiting for friends, and that could be awesome.
I think that's I never even thought of that. That's actually a really good option to do.
Yeah. But for games coming out right now, I'm not like super excited for anything new coming out. The games I was really excited for this year was Hogwarts Legacy, which I beat, and that game was awesome, and God of War Ragnarok, which was also phenomenal as well. So those were the games that were like on my radar.
Yeah.
I did get Diablo, and I have been playing Diablo. It's been pretty fun too.
Yeah.
But
the Hogwarts game is pretty good. I enjoyed that one so far.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a Harry Potter nerd, so it's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
And have you made it down to Florida to Universal for the Harry Potter experience?
I have been to Disney World, but that was before Harry Potter was there.
Yeah.
But one day.
It's pretty cool. They do it right down there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure my fiance would love that too. She's been wanting to go to Disney for a while. So.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, hey, you survived the pod. Thank you so much for doing this. But before you go, now just how Jesse called you out, it's your turn. Who you got to call out somebody?
I got to call out somebody. I wonder, have you had Tulu on it?
No, I haven't.
I love that guy.
All right.
I mean, Tulu's probably the one that comes off the top of my head. He's the homie.
Okay.
And also makes phenomenal content, and his stream is awesome.
Excellent. All right, Tulu, you've been called out.
Yeah.
All right. Sealable, thank you so much for doing this. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on twitch.tv/SealableBag and YouTube, SealableBag. And Twitter, SealableBag.
There we go.
There's a pattern here. Oh, wait.
Awesome. All right, dude. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.